Hello everybody, Aiden here, and welcome to another video on the Around the Slice YouTube channel. I can't believe I'm actually saying this out loud right now, but we have officially now reached NFL Draft Week. Damn, I am so excited. To kick off the festivities, this week's festivities, I'm going to give you an updated picks 1 through 32, first round 2026 NFL mock draft, according to my own personal opinion, of course, as always. And then we'll do a final version in a few days on draft day itself. So without further ado, let's get right into that. Number 1 overall, Las Vegas Raiders. This has been set in stone for literally three and a half months now. Fernando Mendoza, QB Indiana. I don't care that they signed Kirk Cousins a few weeks ago. Now, if you think Kirk Cousins will start the first 4 or 5 games, month or so of the season, that's perfectly fine. I tend to think that as well. But some fans are saying, well, they should trade down and then take BPA at that point. Well, by the way, no trades in the smack. Well, they should trade down and take BPA at that point, and then they can just wait till next year's loaded 2027 QB class. I love that QB class right now on paper, but that's a very dangerous game to play when you have the number 1 overall pick like you do here. So let's go with the chalky pick of Mendoza. Number 2 overall, New York Jets. So I think there are mainly 2 options that we talk about here. Alvaro Reese and David Bailey. I think Sonny Styles should also be in play that people aren't talking about nearly enough, in my opinion, because Styles is just a souped-up version of Jack Campbell when Aaron Glenn had him in Detroit, and that's damn scary, guys, because Jack Campbell's already souped up. So, but I am going to go David Bailey, edge, defensive end, whatever, edge rusher, Texas Tech. A few days ago, he was supposed to come in for a visit, and they canceled it. You can look at it 2 ways. Number 1, maybe they got some cold feet and didn't want to have him in. Number 2, which I think is the more likely case and scenario here, is I think they have all the wealth of information they need. They know that David Bailey will be there at number 2 overall, and they don't need to waste one of their top 30 visits on David Bailey when they could get some other more mysterious / other unknown prospects in there, if you will. So let's go with that. Number 3 overall, Arizona Cardinals. Now, everyone keeps saying they should absolutely sprint to the podium for one of Alvaro Reese or David Bailey, whichever one doesn't go to the Jets before this. Yes, their defense was average at best last year, but in terms of defensive line edge rushers, like they've invested in both free agency and the draft the last few years in this case. A couple of years ago, they invested a first-round pick in Darius Robinson. A few years ago, they invested a second-round pick in B.J. Ojulari. Last year, I know it didn't pan out very well, but last year they gave a huge free agent deal to Josh Sweat. So on paper, not very good. When you look deeper into it, they've hammered home a lot of defensive needs in the draft, in free agency, in high premium investments, if you will, and what have you, and whatnot. I look at the offensive line. They have a stud transfer left tackle in Paris Johnson Jr. They haven't re-signed Jonah Williams at right tackle, which they should not even entertain that. So I look at Francis Mauigoa, or a surprising name I think will go higher than expected here, in Spencer Fano. Now, Mauigoa from Miami is my overall OT1, tackle 1 off the board in this class. But I'm going to go pure scheme fit here, and I think for this team specifically in Arizona with the Cardinals, Spencer Fano, tackle out of Utah, is more of a scheme fit, more a cleaner production to this specific system under new head coach Mike LaFleur. Number 4, Tennessee Titans. There is a numerous ways they could go here. I think you're really looking at a few options. If Robert Saleh wants to continue building his edge rushers, even though they've signed a bunch already, you go with Ruben Bain. Although I get the sense more and more that Robert Saleh doesn't want to mess around with quote-unquote short arm length and Bain, so that's probably scratched off the board and table, if you would. Carnell Tate. I know you signed Wando Robinson, but that's a slot option, hopefully for many years to come. I still believe it. I like a minor on the outside. I think they should have cut Kelvin Ridley, but for whatever reason, what have you, he's back on a pay cut / restructure contract or whatever they call it as and term it as. At running back, I do find it kind of mercurial and weird, guys, that they haven't released Tony Pollard yet. I thought that would have happened weeks ago, month and a half ago, damn near at this point. And Tyjae Spears to me is nothing more than a jag, just a guy, good for 5 to 8 touches a game, but more than that, what are you really getting? I think they take DPA here, and Jeremiah Love, running back, elite running back, Jeremiah Love, elite running back out of Notre Dame. And I think you see a day 2/day 3 trade of Tony Pollard, a la like we saw with Detroit trading away DeAndre Swift, or they drafted a can't miss prospect in Gibbs in that draft class a few years ago. Number 5, New York Giants. It's mock is also fun the post Dexter Lawrence trade because they also have 10th overall. I look at 3 prospects here. And like Jesus, funny enough, guys, they're all from Ohio State. Wide receiver Cardinal Tate, linebacker Sonny Styles, safety Caleb Downs. To me, I zeroed down in my mind to this and out loud talking through it with you guys today here. Who out of those 3 is the least likely to be available at 10th overall again? And to me, that's Cardinal Tate due to position value, due to demand for wide receivers in the NFL these days. Cardinal Tate, scoop them up while you can, wide receiver out of Ohio State. Number 6 overall, Cleveland Browns. I'm going to do it, guys. This has been a wide receiver 1 all throughout this process. Even throughout the quote-unquote injury stuff. I'm taking Jordan Tyson for the Cleveland Browns at 6 overall, wide receiver at Arizona State. God, the narratives have flipped. Just 2 weeks ago, everyone says, oh, Tyson's always injured. Why would you want him? He's going to slip to the late first round. And then just a few days ago, even though he didn't test, he went out there and showed that he was perfectly healthy and all the buzzing and was great again. And everyone's like, oh, he's not going to get out of the top 10. You can't just flip all of a sudden. Stick to your guns. And I've stuck to my guns, if you will, this whole process. Give me Jordan Tyson. Number 7, Washington Commanders. This has to be a defensive pick. Just so we're aware, I do think Ruben Bain is very much still in play. I like Odafe. To me, not a number 1 pass rusher. Caleb Chason, I think he only worked for the Patriots last year, and I don't think he's really going to work too well for the Commanders. So in that sense, Ruben Bain is still available. You can go with elite shutdown corner in Mansour Delane because you have Mikey Sanders still. You have Amik Robertson, but those are a couple of slot options. You have Trey Amos. Hopefully he can develop, but you need another shutdown guy at the very least. But what's more of a dire need? Are your corners worse or are your safeties worse? To me, it's not even close. Your safeties are much worse. You have Quan Martin and Will Harris. I still believe just a smidge in Quan Martin, but Will Harris is the definition of veteran depth, high floor, very, very extremely low ceiling. I'm going with Caleb Downs here, safety, Ohio State. Position value be damned. This reminds me of the Kyle Hamilton thing from a few years ago, even though he shouldn't have failed as well. Number 8, New Orleans Saints. As much as I'd love to give him Mekhi Lemon, I know how Mickey Loomis drafts. He drafts through the trench, building up the trenches and whatnot. What have you. O-line, he's got that more than enough set with free agency additions over the last couple of years. Draft additions over the last couple of years. None more important than Kelvin Bakes in the first round last year. So let's flip over to the D-line. David Bailey, well gone at this point. And there's no defensive tackle interior that is worth taking at this point. So let's go Ruben Bain at rusher out of Miami. Listen, the off-the-field stuff is concerning, but reportedly, teams have had this for a month or so now, weeks and weeks upon weeks now, so I'm not too concerned. I am concerned, but it doesn't seem like NFL teams have done their research, so yeah. Number 9, Kansas City Chiefs. I'm going to go with an interesting player that has fallen a bit, quote-unquote, slipped a bit, if you will, in this mock draft today, in this my own scenario, around the slice mock draft officially here. Arvell Reese, linebacker / edge, Ohio State. Everyone's saying Mansour Delane, and I really was itching the urge to give them Mansour Delane, but like predictively, logically, and knowledgeably, they don't value corner like extremely, supremely high in the top 10 like this guy. Trent McDuffie, 4 years ago, was a late first-round pick and not even on the team anymore besides. L'Jarius Sneed, who they got a couple of years of elite play out of, he was a day 3 pick. Rashad Fenton, not in the league anymore, but you get the point, day 3 pick. I'm going to go over Reese. They desperately need another speedy, powerful edge rusher opposite George Karlaftis pretty badly, and to Reese. But they lost Leo Chenal, the Washington Commanders. And you know how much Spags loves to dial up 3 linebacker sets and blitz that third linebacker in certain quote-unquote NASCAR packages, if you will. So getting Drew Tranquill, Nick Bolton, and Alvaro Reese all in the field together could be awesome, and he can chip in both linebacker and edge. Anyway, number 10 overall, New York Giants. We just went Cardinal Tate with number 5 overall. Unfortunately, Caleb Downs left the board, but those 3 prospects that I was eyeing, Sonny Styles is still there. He falls a bit here just because of the quote-unquote devaluation of the linebacker position. So, yeah. Number 11, Miami Dolphins. This is a dream scenario for them. Again, we took Spencer Fano at number 3 over the Arizona Cardinals just a few minutes ago. Let's go with my OT1 first tackle, in my opinion, in this draft class. Let's go with Francis Mauigoa, tackle Miami. That allows Patrick Paul to stay at left tackle and allows Austin Jackson to kick in the guard, which I think I don't think he's great at either guard or tackle, but I think he's an average tackle and a good enough guard. So let's go with this scenario, kind of mismatching with the O-lineman in Miami here. Number 12, Dallas Cowboys. This is a guy that has fallen a few spots past the expected number 9 of the Chiefs. Let's go with Mansour Delane, corner LSU. Dallas Cowboys, one of the best offensive lines in the league. Dallas Cowboys, one of the best wide receiver tandems in the league. And if you throw in Jake Ferguson at tight end as well, we need to get an edge rusher and corner. Spoiler alert, I'm not going to tell you which edge rusher I have been taking at 20th overall. That would ruin the suspense, right? But I'm going to say that they do take an edge rusher in this mock scenario at number 20. So let's go Mansour Delane, corner LSU, who has no right to be here probably. Number 13, Los Angeles Rams. They don't have a need. Not a single need. Offense loaded, defense line loaded. But if there's a quote-unquote luxury pick that they can't make, I'd look at right tackle, since Rob Havenstein retired. But the 2 right tackles are unfortunately off the board, and Spencer Fano and Francis Mauigoa going a couple picks ago. So I flip over here to wide receiver. There was trade rumors around Devontae Adams. That's dead now. We have the whole off-the-field weird rehab situation with Puka Nacua. I think they'll both be fine. But Adams' contract is up after this year, so let's go with the luxury pick of Mekhi Lemon, wide receiver out of USC. They really haven't had a slot presence over the last few years. Like, they've been trying to Tutu at, massive fail. Jordan Whittington, massive fail. Let's give them a legit elite level upside slot receiver here in Mekhi Lemon. Number 14 overall, Baltimore Ravens. This guy is an absolute mauler. This is a sprint to the podium pick. Their interior offense line is objective disaster. They lost Daniel Falele to the Giants in free agency. They lost Ted Linderbaum at center to the Raiders in free agency. Their starting line is John Simpson, reunion with John Simpson at right guard. Okay, big fan. Really like that. But then at center, you have Danny Pinter. But don't like that. Left guard, you have Andrew Voorhees. Don't like that. Or Emory Jones. Especially don't like that. Let's go Vega Ione, guard, Penn State. Absolute mauler in the run game day 1. And surprisingly great as a pass protector as well for a guard. Number 15 overall, Tampa Bay Buccaneers. To me, this is edge or bust in my opinion. A guy that arguably looked a bit better than more dominant than Ruben Bain, at the Miami Hurricanes last year. Let's go with Akeem Mesidor, defense front of Miami. Guys, I don't give a damn. A little soapbox from Aiden, personal rant here. I don't give a damn if he's 25 years old on draft night. Well, he was having a ceiling. False. The only position where I really truly care about age with is with running back, because they have a shorter NFL shelf life anyway. If you're good, you're good. Bottom line, don't pass on a prospect just because if they're 21 versus 24, 25, who gives a damn? Who gives a, I don't want to swear, but I get real upset when people bring this up in terms of draft scenarios. Like, perfect example, QB position, Bo Nix, Jaden Daniels, they came into the league at 24, quote unquote, older than they should have. And like, damn guys, they had a lot of experience. It prepared them better for the pros. Year 2 with Jaden Daniels, whatever, but as rookies, it was great. So, soapbox over. I get really annoyed at that. Number 16 overall, New York Jets. And number 2 overall, we gave them David Bailey, edge rusher, defensive end out of Texas Tech. Now, I would like to give them a Peter Wood or Kaden McDonald. I think it's a tad early for McDonald and really early for Peter Wood. Everyone's mocking them. Omar Cooper Jr., Omar Cooper from Indiana. Spoiler alert, I'm lower than consensus on Omar Cooper, just to let you know. If you're giving them Omar Cooper, why aren't you comfortable giving them this guy who I'm about to give them in Casey Concepcion, wide receiver out of Texas A&M? They have a big-bodied, like true X vertical planes receiver in Garrett Wilson. They need a slot receiver who can do a lot of versatile fun things with in Casey Concepcion. Number 17, Detroit Lions. This is a sprint to the podium type pick. Monroe Fielding, tackle Georgia, specifically a left tackle. I know all these Lions fans are clamoring for the chatter of let's move Pennis to a left tackle. Guys, I don't doubt that he can do it, but Penei Sewell is an all-world tackle, or all-world right tackle, excuse me. So why are we messing with that chemistry? So I think they have to go own lineman, and specifically here, Manuel Filling, left tackle out of Georgia. Number 18 overall, Minnesota Vikings. I do think defensive tackle is a sneaky need that people aren't talking about right now. So I think they could go Caden McDonald or Peter Woods. And corner is also a sneaky need that people aren't talking about right now, opposite Isaiah Rodgers and Byron Murphy in the slot. So they could go Jermon McCoy. This is too obvious, though. Harrison Smith, very likely retiring if he hasn't officially announced it already by now. Theo Jackson is like a third packet, like sub package third safety / slot corner. Josh Metellus missed the majority of the year last year with severe knee injury, although I really like him still. So let's go with a franchise safety of the future, assumably in Dylan Thieneman, safety Oregon, just insane athlete who is easily the second best safety for me in this class, even over Emmanuel McNary-Warren, which, spoiler alert, he goes in the first. You'll have to wait and see, though. Number 19, Carolina Panthers. So coming into free agency, they needed edge rusher. They gave Jalen Phillips, overpaid him, but it is what it is. They have Jalen Phillips to pair with Nick Scorton and Prince Allen in year 2. On the defensive interior, they have some run stoppers and Tank Wharton and Bobby Brown. They have a true pass rusher, penetrator, do everything, 3-tech and 1-tech guy. Line them both over the place in Derek Brown. Hell, even off the edges he wants to. So I like the offensive side of the ball. I'm really warming up and coming around to this idea over the last few weeks or so, give or take, that the Panthers need an offensive playmaker. Xavier Legette should have went nowhere near touching the first round. He should have been a mid to late second pick at the earliest a couple years ago where he went, in my opinion. So we look at the Panthers wide receiver core. Listen, guys, I'm a cokehead, okay? I'll admit it. I'm a cokehead. I love Jalen Coker. But if you're Xavier Legette, you're getting passed up for the wide receiver 2 job by a UDFA out of Holy Cross, and you're an SEC guy from South Carolina. That's the most embarrassing thing I've ever heard. So again, I'm a cokehead. Love Jalen Coker to death, but just worth pointing that out. So let's go Kenyon Sadiq, tight end Oregon. They've run this like tight end by committee the last few years. They've run with like guys like Tommy Tremble, Mitchell Evans got in there as a day 3 rookie last year. Jatavion Sanders has had some flashes but got injured. Jatavion Sanders. So let's go with Kenyon Sadiq, tight end Oregon. It could be really, really fun and dynamic group of pass catchers. So Dallas Cowboys 20th overall. I said they need edge in corner. I got the corner, the capitalize on the quote unquote falling value, if you will, in Mansour Tulane. So 20th overall here. I'm going to give them an edge rusher. Now, who might it be? I don't think this edge rusher is going to have to step in year 1 and like be some massive ass snap taker, because they had Donovan Azaraku. They have Rashawn Gary. They re-signed a rotational good and decent enough, I guess, rotational guy in Sam Williams going into his 5th year in the league. I'm going to give them TJ Parker, defensive end out of Clemson. If he can come anywhere close to recapturing his magical season from 2024, this will be an awesome kick-ass pass rush group of Donovan Azaraku, Rashawn Gary, and TJ Parker, the aforementioned TJ Parker. Number 21 overall, Pittsburgh Steelers. Everyone's saying Omar Cooper. I'm not forcing that. This is not way too early, but too early for me. I've warmed up to the idea of getting an offensive lineman. I think this is a little too early for guard Emmanuel Pregnon from Oregon to replace Isaac Seumalo. I think to get Vegai on it, they would clearly have to trade up a lot. I mean, no shit, Aiden. Duh. He just won 7 picks earlier to the Baltimore Ravens, a division rival, no less. But I really come around to the idea of getting a tackle, specifically at left tackle. Broderick Jones they tried Broderick Jones at right tackle. He was bad. They tried to Broderick Jones at left tackle. Even worse. Maybe okay with athletic flashes, upside at best. I look at Blake Miller, tackle from Clemson. He can play both left and right tackle. And you'll have a franchise tackle duo, for years to come. And Blake Miller at left, and more specifically, Troy Fautanu at right. Number 22 overall, Los Angeles Chargers. So this is a guy who I'm going to have changing positions because the Chargers have really dropped the ball this offseason. They needed interior help in the worst way. They could go after guys like Connor McGovern, who he signed with the Bills. Tyler Linderbaum, make a deal with the Raiders. Cade Mays signed a relatively cheap value deal with the Lions. At guard, David Edwards signed with the Saints. And then, what do? They bring over Cole Strange for Mike McDaniel, who was objectively awful last year in Miami. They re-signed Trevor Penning. So your quote-unquote answer to the interior is letting Jeremiah Salyer walk for pennies on the dollar, vet minimum of Miami, and then signing Cole Strange to more than he deserved and signing Trevor Penning, to more than he deserves. So I'm banking on Caden Proctor here. Tackle from Alabama. But here's the caveat. I have him switching to guard in this scenario. They also let Zion Johnson go. There's another freaking casualty there. I think Caden Proctor, at first glance, I think he can be a good tackle in the NFL, but I think one day he can be a great tackle in the NFL. Let me start off. I think he can be a good tackle in the NFL, but a great guard in the NFL at the next level. So that's why I'm giving him credit. Caden Proctor. Number 23 overall, Philadelphia Eagles. Unfortunately, they missed the edge run a little. I'm not going to force a tackle like Caleb Lomu here to get ahead of a need, but this is a right now need. They have Cooper DeJean in the slot. They have Reek Woolen on the outside. They have Quinyon Mitchell on the outside, but right now they're starting safeties. They lost Reed Blankenship, which they couldn't just re-sign him for whatever, like $9.5 million a year, give or take. What the hell for the Texans? Love Reed Blankenship. I'm getting off track. My point is, though, connecting the dots here, their slated starting safeties right now are Marcus Epps and I don't remember the other one. And they traded Sidney Brown away, who was a third sub package safety. So let's go with Emmanuel McNeil-Warren, safety out of Toledo, who played with. So when Quinyon Mitchell was at the final year at Toledo, McNeil-Warren was a freshman at Toledo, and they overlapped for a year. They got some intel there, obviously, however much that means. I think a safety of Cooper DeJean, a safety duo, assuming they move DeJean to full-time safety, a safety duo of DeJean and McNeil-Warren, and then moving Marcus Epps down to that sub-package guy, third safety like Sidney Brown is, would make a ton of sense. Make a ton of sense. Cleveland Browns. I opted to pass tackle. They missed out on guys like, at 6, they had guys like Proctor, way too early for me. Igoa, not too early for me, but I decided to go with Jordan Tyson at number 6 overall. Let's go with Max Iheanacho, tackle, Arizona State. Probably a very raw prospect right now, but it's best of the ceiling as it gets with this guy. Your offensive line will literally be revamped in the span of 3 months, 2 months rather, give or take. At left tackle, you would have Titus Howard, who you traded for and paid. At left guard, it would be Zion Johnson. At center, Elton Jenkins. At right guard, Tevin Jenkins. And at right tackle, now Max Iheanacho, tackle of Arizona State. And DeJuan Jones isn't goddamn horrible. Like, people act like he's horrible. So he's not some horrible thing. He's still developing. Maybe he's plateaued, maybe not. But athletic freak, 6'8". If worst comes to worst, he can start one of the tackle spots instead of Iheanacho. But, I mean, you got to take one here. Anyway. Sorry, I blinked there for a minute. At 25 overall, Chicago Bears. Unfortunately, a guy that would have been a dream perfect fit for them, TJ Parker, is gone 5 picks to go to the Dallas Cowboys. I look at, you could take Caden McDonald, Peter Woods at interior, or you could go with an edge rusher. Who's the worst group right now? Defensive interior of Grady Jarrett and Gervon Dexter? Or an edge duo or edge group of Montez Sweat, Austin Booker, and Deo Ogunigbo. Complete awful flop of a free agency signing last year. The edge group is substantially worse in my opinion. So I'm going to give them Keldrick Falk, defensive end edge rusher out of Auburn. He's 276 pounds right now. He can help them both the edge and the interior. I think if he gains 15 to 20 more pounds, he can be like a legit full-time defensive interior guy at the next level. But whether he does gain pounds, whether he stays right now, he can help him on both. But let's go with that scenario. Number 26 role, obviously my bread and butter, the Buffalo Bills. This is a dream scenario. I would like CJ Allen, linebacker from Georgia, but not over the guy who I'm about to pick. Unfortunately, Casey Concepcion's well off the board. But this is not a consolation prize in the least Because at the defensive interior right now, they don't have a nose tackle. And we know that nose tackle is a pivotal, just look at Denver last year, very pivotal, crucial part of Jim Leonard's new 3-4 defense. And we don't have one right now. You have Ed Oliver at 3 tech. And then your 1 tech / nose tackle is going to be what? Deanne Walker. I like him playing up and down the line, a more versatile line of scrimmage guy, not a full-time nose tackle. Let's go Caden McDonald, defensive tackle, more specifically nose tackle, 1 tech nose tackle out of Ohio State. Elite run stuffer, point of attack, elite at the point of attack. Even though he had very little proof of concept as a pass rusher at Ohio State over the last few years, I think he can at least develop that based on the body type, skill set, and athleticism at the next level. So he's not a complete potato out there like someone like Lee Hunter as a pass rusher. At least there's upside there, even though if there is very little proof of concept there. So McDonald, come on to Buffalo, buddy. 27 overall, San Francisco 49ers. To me, there's only one logical choice here. If they're going to want to get one of the top tackles like Maui Goa, Spencer Fano, Caden Proctor, they're going to have to trade up a shit ton, to put it bluntly here, guys. Sorry. But I want to emphasize, hit home with you guys. I'm going to go Caleb Lomu, tackle out of Utah. Kyle Shanahan hasn't come close to valuing his O-line in the first round, but Trent Williams, they're having contract negotiation issues right now. He's 38. He's going to be 38 in a month or two right now anyways. And then for right tackle, you have Austin Pleasance, Colton McKivitz. Caleb Lomu can start day one, and then once Trent Williams retires, he can shift over to left tackle, and you can figure that out then. Number 28, Houston Texans. No holes in their roster. They've addressed now I don't know how good these offensive linemen are, but they've signed a lot of veterans, re-signing Trent Brown, free agency O-line, re-signing Trent Brown, signing Wyatt Teller, among others that I'm blanking on right now. But you get the point. Oversaturation there, which honestly they needed to do pretty badly. Their only quote-unquote hole is on defense is the defensive interior. Yeah, they have Tommy Togiai, but outside of 1 year last year, he's been average at best. They lost Tim Settle in free agency, and they have Sheldon Rankins. So let's get a penetrating 3 tech just like Tim Settle was. Direct 1-for-1 replacement, maybe even more upside in Peter Woods, defensive tackle, Clemson. Number 29 overall, Kansas City Chiefs. This is just 5-star dream scenario for the Chiefs. This is right in the range where Trent McDuffie went 4 years ago. Let's go with Jermon McCoy, corner out of Tennessee. We said, he's healthy. He tested really well. It was pro day. I believe he ran a 4.38. But then a few days ago, earlier this week, the reports that teams were saying, hold on, guys. We've red flagged this guy for a degenerative knee issue. A la guys like Will Johnson last year who fell to the early second round for the Cardinals. I don't have Jermon McCoy severely dropping that far, but Jermon McCoy, corner out of Tennessee, going to the Chiefs here. Kansas City Chiefs at 29 overall. 30, Miami Dolphins. Everyone wants to give them over Cooper. Everyone wants to sneak Cooper into the first round. I'm not doing it. We gave the Dolphins DPA, Francis Maligoa, tackle out of Miami. I'm staying in Miami. I just put the dots together. Well, that's cool. Anyway, 11th overall. You could go edge here, but edge rushers, the run has gone and passed, well over with, in my opinion, unfortunately. You could go safety here, but I'm not forcing a safety like AJ Halsey or Bud Clark or anybody like that. And I look to wide receiver. A wide receiver that I like way more than Omar Cooper out of Indiana is Denzel Boston, wide receiver out of Washington. They tried it with Tyreek Hill. They tried it with Jalen Waddle. The whole regime got blown up. And now I think Jeff Hadley wants to bring over big physical wide receivers. Look at the wide receivers. He was the defensive coordinator around 4 in Green Bay. Christian Watson, big. Romeo Dobbs, big and physical. Dontavian Wicks, who's since been traded away, but when he was there, big and physical. I'm going to give them a big and physical receiver in Denzel Boston, looking at that archetype and build and mold and what have you. 31 overall, New England Patriots. I think there's only one logical answer here. They would have loved to have Maxi Iheanacho, but he went 24th to the Browns. This guy fits perfectly as a speed rusher. He's just basically a younger version of Harold Landry. Cassius Howell, defense run 6 A&M. I don't care. Aiden, he's a complete zero against the run. He can only play on 3rd and longs and potentially 4th and longs. Okay, but goddamn if he ain't a Ferrari off the edge, and you got 2 Ferraris off the edge in terms of athleticism, speed, bend, and burst, and all that ball of clay mold in Cassius Howell and Wrong side of the ball, wrong team. Totally wrong team. Harold Landry. 32nd, 32 overall. Seattle Seahawks. So I'm looking at the secondary, and they have a lot of versatile guys. Devon Witherspoon, he can line up inside out, slot outside, you name it. Nicky Manwari can line up at linebacker, close to the line of scrimmage, strong free safety, strong safety, slot corner, and Julian Love, slot corner, and either safety spot as well. They have a lot of versatility, but they lost Reek Woolen. They re-signed Josh Jobe. Josh Jobe's one of their 2 outside starting corners. I'm going to give them Colton Hood, quarter Tennessee, who is an elite pressman corner in this class, insanely athletic, the quote-unquote secondary corner out of Tennessee because of Jermon McCoy. So 32 overall, the Seattle Seahawks, Colton Hood, corner, Tennessee. Anyways, guys, that'll do it for officially version 3.0 of the Around the Slice 2026 NFL Mock Draft. Let me know down in the comments below what picks do you not agree with? What picks do you agree with? What are your favorite players? What are your least favorite players in this class? And more specifically, mock today. Let me know all that down in the comments below. Over the next couple of days before the draft kicks off, I'm going to be going over a video where I go over my guys in the 2026 NFL Draft, which is just basically players at each position that I absolutely love and pound the table for if I were a GM, which I'm not actually. My personal list, of course. Anyways, you can follow me. And then on draft day itself, Thursday, April 23rd. God damn, so excited. Thursday, April 23rd, draft day itself. I'm going to be giving you my final version 4.0 of the 2026 NFL Mock Draft here at Around the Slice. You can follow me on Twitter/X at @AWeingartner13 for any additional NFL thoughts, opinions, and discussions over there. And yeah, please share this video and channel with anyone and everyone you know. This week is going to be spectacular. See you guys in the next one. Goodbye.